Looks like we are live. Hey everybody, in the event that you can hear me, my name is Seth Leaf Brzezinski and I am with Lynda Adams.
Hello.
A longtime friend. She is an unbelievable advocate for health, wellness, just making the world a better place. And I feel so fortunate because she invited me to be here on her show. What's the name of the show?
Living Life with Lynda, every Sunday at 11 a.m. on WLOB.
And I tagged her show in the description of this, so you can just click on that. Make sure to click on it, like it, and of course share this video far and wide. We want to get the word out there. We want to just really promote everybody who's doing something that is healthy, that is good, that is spreading awareness to our world. And again, Lynda is a pioneer here in the state of Maine. She's somebody who's just been doing this consistently, day in, day out. And I just have to throw this in there. She's a vocalist for a rock band.
Yes,
like
well, I used to be in a rock band, but you just missed it. Seth and I had a little thing here going on with Led Zeppelin. It was cool. I recorded it, so maybe we'll get out there eventually.
Yes, yes. So John Bonham can't be listening, but Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, if you guys are listening.
Yeah, little shout out to Zepp. We love Led Zeppelin. It's good stuff.
Okay,
right.
Good. We got 5 people listening. All right.
Yay! Hi, everybody. If we don't talk to you, sorry, but we're going to do the show.
And also, we're going to, between commercial breaks, too, we're going to be, Lynda's going to be shutting it, and that's when the sponsors and stuff come on, and we may just have casual conversation and fun and uplifting, whatever.
Yeah.
So you're getting it in behind-the-scenes appearance.
Absolutely.
Of what happens.
Yeah, this is a rarity. It doesn't happen all the time. So we may communicate with you in between the breaks. We'll see what happens. We may be so deep in thought and conversation that it may just kind of flow to the next thing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I may check too. I might answer questions. If people are listening, they have questions, whatever, just post them in the feed, and maybe I'll try to come over between.
Oh yeah, because if they have questions, then we can answer them.
Yes.
Maybe they're going to have questions that we haven't thought of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hope you guys love this show.
All right, so we're going to get going. Here we go. Hello, and my guest today is Seth Brzezinski, co-owner of Tourmaline Spring based in Harrison, Maine. Today, Seth will share his knowledge with us about the difference between the various types of water we consume and how their sacred living water can connect you back with nature. Welcome, Seth, to Living Life with Lynda.
Thank you, Lynda. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so when my show was on another station, I won't mention which station it was on, but when it was on another station, you came on my show a couple times, and we had such a great conversation, and it was so ironic. I saw you post on Facebook recently saying, hey, is there anybody out there who can help us get the word out and get the exposure out there? And I had just watched a documentary on Netflix for the Rotten series, and it was about water. And I was already thinking of reaching out to you, so that's how the universe works.
Yes.
Right?
It aligns.
Put it out there, and here you are. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about, how did you get involved in Sacred Living Water in Tourmaline Spring? How's that part of your journey?
So, me personally, astrologically, I'm a Pisces. That's my sun sign.
Yeah.
Not that
Water,
that really
hello.
has anything to do with it, but I've just always had a really profound affinity with water. Growing up here in the state of Maine, I've just felt deeply connected to water, which Maine, as you know, is one of the most prolific water-producing places in the world.
Yes.
Between the ocean and the mountains, there's something called orographic lifting, which is where all the water and vapor and everything comes off the ocean and it goes into the mountains, and it just creates this like rolling thing that kind of recycles it, which causes the water to seep down into the forest and eventually down in the ground. And so Maine is world revered for its water. Me, the way I got into it is when I was a child, I was actually walking through the woods in my house in Canaan, Maine, where I grew up, and just out of nowhere, I saw water coming up. There's water everywhere, but I saw water with bubbles coming up through it. Nothing feeding into it, no stream, no any river or anything, just water in the woods, bubbling up. And I remember looking at, as a little kid, seeing the sand bubble up and everything, and just being so fascinated by it. And I didn't even think twice. I was like, you know what? I'm going to drink this water as a little kid. And I did. I drank it, and I remember having this like, wow, I'm drinking water right from the ground. you know, it could have been contaminated, it could have been all these things, you know, just as a kid, but it wasn't. And I felt so good, and that's really what turned me on being a little kid, having that experience. Not just drinking water, but drinking water out of a spring where it's coming to the surface like that. So that's what turned me on to it.
And that's amazing because, I mean, gosh, I remember as a kid being told not to drink that water coming out of the ground because you're right, like you just said, it could have been contaminated.
And in a lot of cases it is.
Right.
And just to make it clear, like everybody watching here, we don't at all advocate drinking water out of the ground unless you know it's safe, tested, that there's not animal defecation or urination or 100-year-old dump or something above it or near it or whatever.
Yeah.
These are all very important issues when you consider when drinking water out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But a clean source, a pure source that you know is safe, my God, there's something about it.
Of course.
Drinking water out of the ground like that.
Right. And so you were involved in another business venture when were you approached about Tourmaline Spring? Because it was already operating under a different name, correct?
So the source is called Summit Spring. One of my closest and dearest friends, Ryan, and his family bought it. They bought the spring. It wasn't functioning then. There was nothing going on with it. A big multinational was trying to get it at the time, and the woman who owned it didn't want to sell it to them because she just equated that with it getting destroyed, and she had her own beliefs about what could happen with it. My friend was like, look, I want it. I can't offer you nearly what they are for it, but I will preserve this source. I will resurrect the old brand. I will really do it justice. And he did that. He literally took this spring. And, for anybody who's listening to this or anybody who's watching now, I urge everybody to go on the website, look at the videos. As far as I know, we're the only source in the world. I've had a few people say, oh, we do it too, but they don't show the source. We show our source online. I mean, this is a rare, high elevation spring, which is rare in and of itself. Most springs are down low because that's where the aquifers are pressurized enough to push the water to the earth's surface. But this is up on a mountain, pretty much. So this water is going almost 1,000 feet above elevation from deep, deep, deep under the ground. It's being purified by all these different layers of rock, of sand, of sediment, so which acts like a filter. It's the same thing that's in a water filter, except for this is thousands of feet long. It's huge. It's the earth doing it. It's being filtered to a degree that no human machine can replicate. And all the heavy particles, the isotopes, any sediments, any particulate matter that's in the water is naturally just going to fall away on its own, but it's also being filtered through all these different layers of earth. And that's why what comes out of the ground at this particular location is unlike any drinking water ever that I've ever had. All the springs I've ever drank around the world, none of them have the qualities that this water has, which is a really low TDS, which is essentially total dissolved solids. That means it has a really, really low mineral content, which is rare because a lot of like these side of the road springs or a lot of big springs across the country have high mineral content. And a lot of those minerals are what are referred to as inorganic minerals. Even though they're occurring naturally, there's something that the body can't really use. And in some cases, it actually is an impediment to bodily functions, meaning that, certain minerals are just going to get stuck in the body doesn't know how to process them because they're not bioavailable, and so they either just go right through you or they get stuck. So this water has a perfect balance of electrolytes, has a perfect balance of trace minerals, and it actually has a very low, what's called deuterium content, which is a heavy carbon element, and it's super, super low. That's why we call it liquid light. It's just got this, and I feel like an idiot. I didn't even bring any for you. I have this knack of doing that.
And you know what's funny is this morning when I was getting ready to come here, I grabbed my bottle. I have a bottle of, Golden Ratio?
Yes,
okay.
Great company.
So here,
Let's give them a shout out.
Yeah,
Golden Ratio, I'll tag them
products.
too.
So I'm drinking my bottled water here, but this is water from my home. I live on a well, and I have really good water, so I'm very blessed. And so when I was leaving this morning, I said, oh, bring this just in case, but I bet Seth brings me some water. Hello.
You should have texted. Like you'd think I would think to do that, but
Well, that's all right. So I'm just going to come up and have a tour of the spring,
Yes.
and I'll just get some water that way.
drink it out of the source.
Okay. That's a date.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's amazing to me that it's up in the mountains. And then before when we had spoke, you actually said it does like a reverse gravity thing naturally, and it comes up. I mean, like you said, it's way up high.
It's way up high, yeah.
So what's happening with that?
So
Why?
essentially, the bottling facility, Brian's vision was not like, a lot of quote-unquote spring water, which actually isn't spring water because the federal government changed the definition of spring water in the early 2000s to include well water.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the water that's being offered that's labeled as quote-unquote spring water is actually just well water. So what a lot of companies will do, the big ones and small ones do it as well, they will drill what's called a borehole into the water, into the ground, and essentially suck the water out of the ground.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues with that. A lot of issues environmentally and with the water quality. So Brian, no way, you didn't even, that wasn't ever even in the cards. His idea was like, okay, this perfect gift from Mother Nature is just bubbling right to the Earth's surface and then running right down the hill. So instead of drilling into it and sucking more out of the ground, which is, Mother Nature's not giving enough, I want more. He wanted to preserve the source and then only capture the overflow that was bubbling out of it. So what you were saying by reverse gravity is essentially this. It's being pushed by gravity to get to the top of the Earth where it's coming out of, but then it's gravity fed going down into the bottling facility.
Okay.
So that's probably what you're thinking.
Right.
So this is all just, the water comes out of the earth, then it rolls through all high-grade stainless steel pipes into the bottling facility, which is just below the actual spring. And you can see all this on the website. And that's it. Right into the bottling, the filling machine, everything is done by gravity, including the water going through we have this humble bottling equipment, and it just goes through it and then just fills each bottle just by gravity alone.
And so, okay, I'm going to assume if you're not drilling for this water that you're not able to do the production like these large conglomerate companies are.
No.
I mean, so you're not able to ever probably get to that level.
No.
But that's not really your goal.
No.
I mean, you want to be like a boutique water. I mean, it's special, it's sacred.
Look, we're bottling less than, I'd have to check with Brian and Ray about the numbers, but we're bottling less than 0.5%. So we're bottling very little of what's actually coming out of it. If we were bottling, 1/8 of that, we would all be so happy financially. We would have the money that we need to not expand the spring, because the spring produces a certain amount of water, that's it. Nobody's taking any more than that.
Right.
But we could scale our operation. We could make it better in the sense that we could bring glass into it.
Mm-hmm.
Hemp plastic is something I'm very passionate about. I would love to be able to introduce hemp plastics into it. There's a lot of little things that we could do to improve what we currently have and set a standard in an industry that needs it so much right now.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, from that Netflix documentary, and some people, when I talk about documentaries to people, well, how do you even know you can believe what's on there?
Yeah.
And I get it. But you know what? I mean, I learned something. At least I'm not sitting back and just going and constantly buying the bottled water that's in the store for the cheapest amount of money that I can without even thinking about it. I mean, you have water coming out of your faucet,
Yeah.
right? And so it blows my mind that today, the amount of money that people are spending on crap water,
Yeah.
and they're not even worried about the source of where it's coming from. They don't even look. I was in Massachusetts one day, and I went in the store, and I was looking at the different bottles of water there. And of course, Poland Spring is everywhere, and I'm from Maine, so that's what I was naturally going to get.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, and so I picked up another bottle, and it was from the local reservoir. I was like, what? I don't want to drink that.
Yeah.
I'm from Maine. I'm pretty picky about my water.
Yes.
Yeah. But so talk about, you just mentioned plastic, right?
Yeah.
So you currently are bottling in plastic.
Yeah.
And some people who are big about nature might have an issue with that.
Yeah,
So-
I do. I have an issue with it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So is it because, I mean, we talked many moons ago about wanting to put it into glass, but the expense of that, shipping, right?
We did. We actually launched it in glass.
You did?
Yeah. When Ryan and I first met and started doing this, we actually called it raw water. We did it in glass.
Okay.
But this we could do a whole show about this, so I'm gonna try to like bring the short and narrow here to keep this tied in. Glass is one of those things because first of all, we're up in the woods of Maine.
Yeah.
It's winter right now, and up there it's more winter than it is down here in the Portland area where it's not as much
Sure.
winter, but up there.
Well, I beg
So-
to differ. It's winter here, but okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I
But
get
up
what you're
there we
saying.
get
Of
heavy
course.
snow.
Yeah.
It gets
Wind.
really, really cold, and you put water in glass, it freezes, it cracks.
Oh, yeah, hello.
You transport it, it freezes, it cracks, it breaks. There's so many variables to that make it really, really difficult to scale it. It needs really high quality equipment. It needs warm temperature controlled units, storage, trucking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So a lot of those issues come up. But then as I researched it more, it's like, okay, environmentally, because there's two aspects here, the environmental aspects of plastic and then the health aspects of plastic as it pertains to human health.
Mm-hmm.
So the environmental aspect, it's confusing because glass is much heavier. It's harder to produce. It takes a tremendous amount of petroleum to produce, a tremendous amount of resources to produce. And the more I looked at it, and then shipping it, the weight of it, the more I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, it seems like it has more of a carbon footprint, and if somebody wants to prove me wrong, great, but everything that I've researched, which has been for years now, it has a massive carbon footprint compared to plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, now, but the real issue here with plastic is plastic management. Okay, that's what people don't get. Like plastic, obviously, okay, but if we're gonna ban plastic for a boutique water like ours, which is literally the finest, highest quality water in the world, which people give me a hard time about semi-often, they just don't see the bigger picture. They don't see what's actually occurring in the world of plastic. It's like, okay, if you're gonna ban plastic for a single-serve drinking water, then ban it for all food.
Right,
Then
right.
ban it for all of the synthetic clothes that we all wear. Ban it for the shoes that we all wear. Ban it for everything that it's being used for, because single-serve bottles of plastic are not the problem. It's these microfibers of lesser quality plastics that are getting into the oceans everywhere. Plastic as a whole is a big problem and it's huge. But plastic management is the real issue here. Like in Maine, we have redemption laws. We have a bottle bill. Certain states do. The states that do have a bottle redemption bill experience high rates of recycling.
Yeah.
But only a few states have it. And so from day one, my whole team has always been like nationwide bottle bill. Wake the F up. Like this is what we need for better plastic management.
Yeah.
Okay, but then here's the real kicker, and this is even, let's say the US had it together, okay, North America, we'll include Canada, we'll include just North America. We have the most, there's continent-wide bottle bills, everybody's recycling, everybody's making sure that it's being done the right way. There's still India, China, these countries around the world that are dumping hundreds of millions of tons of raw plastic and other garbage into the oceans,
Yeah.
uncontrolled. So, yeah, it's a problem like here, but
Mhm.
this is like what's really, really contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
So are we smart enough here to do something about that? I know my company has from day one advocated that and wanted that to be a reality, but when you try to lobby and you try to get involved in the political aspect of it, you get shut down
Of course.
for a lot of reasons. So,
That's like a whole nother show in itself.
look, it's one of those, and I just want to make one mention too,
All right,
because we
quickly,
touched on
because
the
we have to go to
plastic.
break. All right.
So the plastic we use, and this as it pertains to human health, So we use a heavyweight bottle
You
that's
do,
blown. It's off gas 3 to 4 weeks before it's cold filled. It's certified BPA free, so it's free of BPA, BPB, but those are only two of hundreds of plasticizers
Yep.
that are of concern. But it's blown, it's off gas, it's cold filled. The water is cold filled, 46 degrees as it comes out of the ground, and then it's tested in the bottle to make sure that there's no plastic residues or leaching of anything at all. And for 15 years, we consistently demonstrated that there's nothing that leaches into it. Plus, we bottle on demand. So
Okay.
we bottle, we sell it, it gets put out there, people drink it, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not sitting in a warehouse
No.
for 6 months.
If you put it in
the heat.
sunlight, if you put it like in your car window, which
Yeah.
mind-blowing, a lot of people do that and then
Right.
drink it, you
Yeah.
could have an issue.
Right, of course.
So it's about being mindful.
I yell at my mother. She buys water and stores it out in her garage in the heat,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "What are you doing? Stop stocking water like that. Not
Yeah.
like that, but you're on a well. You have great water."
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we'll dive more in with everything with Seth Brzezinski of Tourmaline Spring. All right, we're on break.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. We still have people watching.
Yeah.
Do you want to check and see
I'll
if
look,
there's
I'll see if there's
questions?
questions, yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Hope you guys are enjoying this. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. I don't see any questions.
All right. Good. That's okay. We still got people watching, though, right?
Yes. we do.
Cool. And I will mention this on the show. I'll say, by the way, we're recording this Facebook Live, so you
Live.
can always go to Tourmaline Springs Facebook page and watch the video if you want to see us in person.
Awesome. Great.
All right. Okay, we'll come back. Oh, let me figure out how much time we have because we went over a little bit.
I know. You got to keep me.
It's all
restrained
good.
here.
It's okay.
I'll go
My
on
producer
forever.
will yell at me. Debbie will say, "Jesus, that first segment was 20 minutes."
I need 4 hours to get the point across.
You think?
If I could.
All right. Geez, that doesn't even make sense. Hold on a minute. Let's see. So we just went to 52. Yeah, so that was 20 minutes. Okay. So that means. All right, so we'll do 12 and then 12. Okay. All right, we're good. All right, here we go again. Oh, and I wanted to bring up something that was, okay. Welcome back to Living Life with Lynda. I am your host, Lynda Adams. We're coming to you on News Talk WLOB 100.5 FM and online at WLOBradio.com. And with me today is Seth Brzezinski. He's the co-owner of Tourmaline Spring, based in Harrison, Maine. And we are having a very lively conversation about water today. And oh my gosh. And we're recording this Facebook Live. Seth contacted me in advance and said, "Hey, do you have a problem with that?" I'm like, "No, actually, I just had a couple other shows that did the same thing." And to me, it reaches a different audience that may not go back and listen to the recording or have an opportunity to listen to it live, which is on Sunday at 11. This will actually be airing in February, so we're recording it in advance. But if you want to go see the video and actually see what we look like in the studio recording this show, then go to Tourmaline Springs Facebook page and look for that video. Or you can go to my show page as well because he did tag it, so Living Life Show. And so just talking about Tourmaline Spring, and you call it sacred living water. On your website it says flawless gem grade. What is gem grade when it comes to water?
So that's just, fancy marketing, you could say, but it's
Okay.
not make-believe. It's based upon water, essentially, okay? And I could go into a million different directions here, and this will sound crazy to some people, but water is a liquid crystal, essentially. That is the true nature of water. When water is in a pristine state, it actually retains hexagonal structures, just like crystals. These structures are
Yeah.
actually in everything. They're in our human bodies. They're essentially the building blocks of life, of everything. So water, in and of itself, retains a hexagonal. Can you say it for me?
I can't say it.
A hexagonal
it's up
structure.
to you.
Yes. It retains
Yeah.
that. So it's why I call that is the area where the spring bubbles out is one of the most prolific gem and mineral producing areas of the world.
Tourmaline, that's
of-
what it's called, Tourmaline.
So Tourmaline is the
Spring.
state of Maine gemstone. That's why
Yes.
we wanted to call it that.
That
It just
makes sense.
reflects that. It's the most beautiful crystal ever for those who are looking. You know, you get
Except
sense
is
like,
standing up now
like-
and showing a shirt that he's wearing.
so the air when I stand at the spring, I can see all the tourmaline mines
Get
that I've been
outta here.
that I've been finding crystals in. Since I've been a rock hound since I was a little kid. It's just been a passion.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk more because
Yeah.
I want to get into that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Cool.
It's
Okay.
amazing. But Brian, my friend, who owns the spring, wanted to tell the history of the actual source, which dates back over 300 years. I mean, we have records of, the water being offered to the public before Maine was even a state. It was Massachusetts back then. I mean, it goes way beyond that. There's a lot of old documentation. But I wanted to tell the geologic history of the actual spring. So flawless gem grade water it's anomalous. It's a weird thing because you would think that bubbling up through the bedrock, which it's called a complex granitic pegmatite, which is essentially a fancy way of saying a granite body that is loaded with minerals and gemstones. Loaded. So you would think that water coming up through this kind of a substrate would imbue it with a high mineral content. But like we were saying before the
Yeah.
break, it doesn't. It has a remarkably, exceptionally, mind-blowingly low mineral content, which is what makes it perfect drinking water. So
Interesting.
to me, it is flawless gem grade water, but not just to me, to the many hydrogeologists we've had come up there, to the many water chemists, people who've come up there and researched this, like, oh, these guys are just all marketing and all talk. And then they read our water reports and they're like, oh, like, is this level of purity actually coming out of the ground? Because it's more pure than the highest quality organic foods that people are eating. There's not even radioactive isotopes in it. Why? How? Then they come up and they research it and they're like, I can't even believe this exists. It's that kind of an attitude.
And I'm assuming the testing that you do on the water is not your typical water test that you would do from your house.
No.
And what do you do to test the water, and how often do you have to do that?
So once a year we do what's called the full battery.
Okay.
And this is, close to 30 pages of everything you can imagine. I mean, parts per quadrillion. Parts per billion, parts per quadrillion. Different ones are different, but it's as finite of a testing as you can get. It costs a lot of money. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars to have this specific annual test done. So that is done every year. Then every 3 months, the state or whoever will come and we do testing for bacterial stuff related to bottling. And then every time we bottle, there's certain tests that have to be done. So it's very, very heavily monitored, tested, and made sure that it checks out every time before we put it out to the public.
And I was researching this a little bit online because it's been a while since we've
Yeah.
spoken, and I saw an article that was written in Down East Magazine, and I liked somebody, there was a water sommelier in California
Martin
where
Reese.
it blew my mind. There's actually a restaurant there that has like a list of waters that you, like wine, that you pair with food.
Yes.
Like 45 different types you can choose from.
Yeah.
And he said it's like comparing organic to fast food. Right?
Yeah.
And that really hit me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that is the difference. And again, I mean, so I went to a TEDx talk probably a couple of years ago here in Portland. There was a woman there, I believe she was from Freiburg, and she was talking about Nestle and how they wanted to come in and take over, the local water source. And, I know everybody's familiar with Tourmaline Spring around the world. And it's amazing to me to see how much Hollis has changed since Nestle took over that Tourmaline Spring facility, and the amount of trucks that are in and out of there constantly. And from watching the documentary that I did, it talked about the impact that they're having. And you had already mentioned that they drill down, they bore out to bring the water
Well,
up.
every company does.
Okay, yeah.
Not every, but most companies, big and small, do
Right,
that.
okay. And the impact they're having on nature
Yeah.
and how it's actually damaging. They're pulling all this water out, and there isn't enough water now for the streams and for the nature and wildlife. And so, talk about how you called yours sacred living water, because I know there's a connection there with nature,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
how is that different? I mean, obviously the size of the companies are different and the impact that you're having, but what's your goal with this, with nature?
Let me just preface
Okay.
this by saying, I don't want to speak out against any company in particular, because
Sure.
companies are interesting. Like, even though a lot of like the kind of the top-down policies are not necessarily incongruent, are not necessarily congruent with nature,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who work within these companies that don't agree with these top-down policies and actually would like to see change and are actively working within some of these structures. Not everybody,
Cool.
there's always a balancing act. So there's very conscious, aware people who work within these companies that do want to see them get better. So I want to say
Okay.
that it's not, I've never, me personally, our company, we've never taken a stance like us against them like that. We all share one planet here. Yes, there's greedy people, there's people that are only looking at the bottom line and caring, but there's also very caring, loving people who have families that want a better world for their families, who work within big companies that want to see change. So it's happening no matter what.
Right.
As soon as we start pointing fingers, as soon as we start doing that, then we, in my opinion, and people are going to disagree with this, I'm waiting to get the negative comments later, I'm sure. But as soon as we, and this will tie into the sacred thing. Sorry, I'm making myself comfortable here.
He's got his shoes off. He's like up on his knees in the
Just get my
chair. He's
yogic
looking at
stance
Zen.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah!
I love you. You're such a unique guest. You're awesome.
Thank
You can come back
Thank-
anytime you
Well, I
want.
love it here. It feels like home. I was going to see if I could rent a little space in the corner. and we
Whatever
could
you
just-
want to do, Seth.
And we can
it's totally
sing
fine.
and play music.
Absolutely. Let's just do it all right here.
Perfect. So, yes, a lot of change can be implemented, but if people are only thinking from a perspective of greed or from money, then that makes change a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
So my approach with sacred living water, which I've had so many people make fun of it, as well as a lot of people who are really supportive of it and get it, it's essentially this. You can view life in two ways, right? I think Einstein said something like this. One is if everything's a miracle, and one is if nothing is a miracle. But essentially, if we're going to view water as sacred, then we have to view our own bodies as sacred, right? Because we are water-based beings. We are consciousness animating a human form. There's something going on within us that cannot be measured by current scientific instruments. It can to a certain degree, and I think science is getting better, but especially with the quantum sciences. But there is phenomenon taking place within every single one of us, within the human heart, within all the plexus centers of the body. When an individual begins to take their attention away from all the chaos and suffering and pain and everything that's happening in the world, and they start to direct it inwards, hence the whole mindfulness movement, the meditation movement that's resurging and coming back, that ancient cultures have been doing forever, the yoga movement, the people getting sick and then being like, oh my God, what is it? This whole movement of turning your attention inwards, recognizing that even though you think you're this person, there's this body that you're in that is way more intelligent than you are, or I am, or that any of us are. And when we take a little bit of the intelligence that we have with our awareness as Seth, the person who I think I am, and I start directing it at this sacredness, this miracle that is beating my heart, that is causing, functions in my body to happen at the speed of light, that's pretty sacred to me. I mean, to be aware of that, it's very humbling. And the more I become aware of it, the more I connect to my own inner nature. So why are we as a species living in a way that is disharmonious with the natural world around us? Well, maybe one of the first answers is we are out of touch with our own inner nature. So the more an individual comes to terms with this aspect of their own inner nature, the more it changes their outlook. It changes the way that they interact with themselves. They treat their body better. They want to eat better foods. They want to drink better water. And it also changes the way that they interact with others, both on a personal and a collective level. Because when you realize that you're not who you think you are, you're something way greater than this, and you actually begin to feel a little bit of what that is by being aware of your heartbeat, by being aware of these things that are happening faster than the speed of light in your body that's allowing you to be the person you think you are, it humbles you. It imbues you, or it endows you with a recognition of a sense of something that is greater than you, that we could refer to as sacred. So Tourmaline Spring, in many ways, the brand is a metaphor for there's a natural purity bubbling up within each one of us. Whether we choose to drink of it or become aware of that inner purity is our choice. But when we do, we have a different perspective. We have a more pure way of interacting with ourselves and the world. And it just so happens that there's a source of water left on this planet that is bubbling up in the woods in the middle of nowhere, that has a natural purity that is mind-boggling to the hydrogeologists and water chemists who test it. So there's an actual physical source of water that exists that represents what I refer to as an internal state that nobody is exempt from. This internal state, just because somebody's thinking, oh, I'm going to make billions and trillions of dollars, and it doesn't mean that that inner purity is not in them. It just means that they're not giving it any attention. It also doesn't mean that they're not going to face it at the moment of their death, not to get gloomy or whatever, but everybody at some point is going to have to come to terms with the reality of what they actually are. The more you come to terms with that as an individual, the more you seek ways, however you can. It's a hard world, I know it can be very challenging, but you intuitively and naturally want to seek ways of building structures and living your life in a way that reflects that to the best of your abilities. So that's why it's sacred to me, everything.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That is definitely not where I thought this conversation was going to go, but I love it. I'm totally into this stuff. So, all right, well, we have to take another quick little break, and we'll be back more with Seth Przansky with Tourmaline Spring.
Okay, Facebook people,
all
I'm going to check on you.
What are you thinking about that conversation, huh?
Some of them who know me.
You thought we were just, oh yeah, of course.
They're like, oh, there he goes again. Hey, Donna. I actually grew up with. There's some amazing people here. Karen's an amazing people.
Hi,
Rena.
Donna. Hi, Karen.
Donna, I grew up with, believe it or not,
Really?
in Maine. Yeah, she's from an old childhood friend of mine.
Wow.
Yep.
If you want to see some of my other shows, just go to livinglifeshow.com. And all my previous shows are there recorded. I've been at LOB for over a year, and I'm very blessed to have some pretty amazing guests that have been on my show. And I actually recently have been contacted by a couple people nationally. One person did a documentary called Uninflame Me, and I reached out to her and said, hey, I loved your movie, and it actually reminded me a lot of the thing I went through with my dad. With his diseases and medications, overly medicated until his death, unfortunately, and reached out and said, I would love to share your story. And so she's going to be on my show.
Wow.
And then I just had somebody else who wrote a book recently that reached out to me and asked if they could be on my show from California. So now I have to learn how to record shows on the phone.
Yeah. Skype or Zoom,
Exactly.
eCam, depending on what kind of,
That's, I used to have a show producer. She got done, and so she's like, what do you want to do? You can either record your show at this specific time on Fridays, or you can learn to do them yourself. And I said, you know what? Let's take it to the next level. And it works because now I have a flexible schedule and I can get people in here when I need to.
Yeah.
And now it would be the next level where I'm recording now phone guests. And one of my goals this year is to grow exposure for the show. Not for me, but for my guests.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't about me at all. This is all about how can I help get the best information out of my guests that I can. And I feel like I've been blessed with a gift of being curious.
Yeah.
And asking questions and getting the best out of my guests that I can. And I always say that before I come in the studio, like, hey, Spirit, please be with me today. help me ask the right questions to get the right information so the people listening to this show can make some positive changes to their life. And so that's my gift.
You deserve to be, are you about to go back on? Because I want to say.
No, we
Right.
can, yeah.
Yeah, you deserve to be supported. Like, you
Thank
need to
you.
be. So everybody who's listening to this too, and I'm going to do more stuff to promote this later.
Sure.
Like,
Thanks.
get the word out. Like Lynda's page. I've tagged it in the description below. Like it. Share this video. Talk to other people about it. Get the word out there. And Lynda, again, has been doing great work for a long time, and it sounds like you're just beginning
I am.
to really do
Yeah, this year is definitely a huge growth year for me. And I actually just signed up to get certified as a health coach with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Yes.
So
yes.
this year, that's part of my journey. Is
Joshua Rosenthal's fantastic.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've learned so much in a short period of time, and I just see that as another way for me to help people.
Yeah, let's tag them too. So
Yeah.
I'll tag them below too. I'll try to get all these later. But the Institute
Awesome.
of Integrative Nutrition in New York, they're probably all over. They have places
Yeah.
now, but they're fantastic. They just really give people the know-how
Yeah.
of how to take care of themselves in a way that's
Yeah.
profound.
And I initially signed up because I wanted to get healthy myself. You know, I've been sick for the past couple of years with Lyme disease,
Oh.
and
yeah.
and I finally feel like that's over. You know,
Thank
and
God.
and so now I'm on the point of, okay, I'm repairing. Now I'm going to recover and repair.
Do you do shows on your condition? Have you talked about that?
I have.
I would, because I don't know if we can find those or whatever, we can link back to it, but I know obviously a lot of people are suffering with Lyme disease, especially in
Yeah.
New England, and
Yeah.
it'd be great to.
I have. I've had Paula Jackson Jones and Angel Rice on my show from Mid-Coast Lyme Disease Support and Education, and they've talked a lot about their journey.
Yeah.
And I know they're a huge resource for people. So anybody watching this, if you have an issue with Lyme disease, go to their website, Mid-Coast Lyme Disease Support and Education, and I know they helped connect me with a Lyme literate practitioner, and it helped. But I had to learn what was going to work for my own body,
Yeah.
and it came down to what was I putting inside my sacred body.
Yes.
Right?
yes,
I need to honor my
absolutely.
body that I have, and so I've learned. And so now this next year will be about obtaining my own level of really good health, and it's just not what you eat, it's everything. It's every aspect of your life. I mean, God, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
And
A lot of it's attitude, honestly.
absolutely, you know, what are the stresses in your life?
Yeah.
And so yeah. So anyway, so good journey this year and more exposure. That's the big thing.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna come back on and we're gonna let's see how much time we got here. We went over again a little bit, but we're good.
Sorry, I do that.
That's okay.
That's one of my issues.
All right, good. All right, so we have like 8 minutes when we come back. I know it's not a lot of time, but I'll like cue
Yeah.
you. I'll
Yeah,
go like
keep
this
me-
when we're
I'll
like.
try to be more interactive. I want to. You do
You're
whatever.
good. You're fine.
All right.
Don't worry about it. I love all the stuff you're talking about. Where are my notes? I had a note here. I want to make sure that I mentioned some things from previously. Okay. God, I don't even know where we want to come back into. What do we want to talk about now, Seth?
Look, we can just let it come out of nowhere, or if there's anything you had notes, I can talk extemporaneously about anything for hours. So you decide what you want to do, or if you just
Okay.
want me to make it up, I'll go.
We'll
for
just
it.
make it up. All right,
Okay.
here we go. Welcome back to Living Life with Lynda on News Talk, WLOB 100.5 FM, and online at WLOBradio.com. I'm your host, Lynda Adams. We're speaking with Seth Krasansky, co-owner of Tourmaline Spring, which is based in Harrison, Maine, and they produce world-renowned water, one of the most unique springs everywhere. It is a spring, it's Summit Spring.
Single source spring.
Yeah, and so I had read somewhere that Summit Spring was is it actually bottled under Summit Spring at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two different things going on, right?
Well, it's essentially it's the same source.
Okay.
It all comes from the same place. So the spring is called Summit Spring. It has a 300-year history. It's a really old, well-known, world-known source. I mean, people are coming from Europe to get it in the early 1900s.
Wow.
So It was sold in New York City, I think, 1908 or 1920, I don't know the date exactly, for 80 cents a gallon, which in today's terms would be $100 a gallon with inflation and everything. It was heavily revered as a healing tonic. There used to be a hotel that was up at the spring where people would come from all over to partake in something called balneotherapy. That's what it's called. It's a Greek word meaning take to the waters, balneotherapy. So it's essentially drinking or soaking or getting interactive with natural waters that are coming out of the ground that have purported health benefits. So this was a hub for it. This is a spot.
Imagine, could they actually like bathe in it?
Baby, yeah.
Imagine
Oh,
if
yeah,
there was
absolutely.
a place to sit and go sit in
Yeah.
all this water.
Well, look, our our goal, the hotel, it was a 55-room hotel. I think 55-room. Sorry, Brian. He'll scold me later. If I'm wrong, he likes his facts, and I love him for it. He likes to keep the tight shit. But
of course.
there was a big hotel up there, and it was beautiful, and the water was piped in. But one of our dreams collectively as a group was to get the hotel built back again, to get this water in there, to kind of reinvigorate these old visions that were there, and make it almost like a spa, make it a place where people could come. We're not there now, we're not anywhere close
That
to it,
would be
but
so cool.
it would be one of the only ones in New England
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just took a snowshoe trek through Riverton Trolley Park here on from Riverside Street in Portland, and it's neat to walk around and see all the structures that used to be there back like around 1900.
Yeah.
And they have pictures of what it used to look like, and it blows my mind at how something so significant should just be gone.
Yeah.
Right? So like there was a hotel. Are there any remnants of it?
Believe it or not, when Brian bought the property, cleaned up the whole thing, did a little bit of excavation, just clearing work, he found some of the old blocks, some of the old structures, just trinkets, gadgets, like things that were from it.
Neat.
And he brought it out and kind of like set it up and made it look nice just from a historical kind of tell the story perspective.
Yeah.
So
That's
there
cool.
is some leftover remnants of it, yeah.
Huh. So Summit Spring, so you can buy water called Summit Spring.
Yes.
But it's probably gone through the traditional process of.
It's treated with ozone and UV.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
But we did that because he initially set it up to do that because it's just what he thought he had to do. And,
Right.
he reached out to a friend and I had a friend who was speaking around the world and doing a lot of stuff, and we would talk about water. It was a major thing. And he called us up and said, you guys got to come up here. I've got exactly what you're talking about. We'd never even heard of it back then. This is over a decade ago. And we went up there, of all the cold springs, the hot springs, the different sources I've sought out around the world for my passion of loving water, I had never seen a cold spring like this, of this magnitude, that was this prolific, that had a water quality that was so stellar. So it just blew my mind right away. And we said, look, can we bottle this without any treatment at all? And he said, let me find out. So he wrote to the state, and at first they were like, no way, not.
Yeah, of
But
course.
he said, look, we have 100, and I think on record in the state, I think there's 150-year history of the source or something, over 100 years. Not a single complaint of anything, not even flavor or water quality or taste. And he said, look, we want to do it. And they said, well, okay. People drink untreated well water. 45 million Americans drink. And just to like reflect here, people, oh my God, drinking water out of the ground untreated, are you crazy? People have been drinking water out of the ground untreated forever. 45 million Americans drink well water out of the ground untreated now.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is to make sure that the water
But they
you're
should
drinking.
test it.
Yes, that's all. Like, but think about how many people don't. I grew up my whole life
That's scary.
drinking
I've
well.
had people on my show talking about, with water filtration
Yeah.
and why you have to test your water because there
Yes.
are things in Maine in our water that are unhealthy.
And
So
you never know.
Right,
You never
exactly.
know. And not only that, but
Yeah.
a lot of the well water in Maine, sadly, there's a lot of arsenic in it. There's
yeah,
a
we
lot
had
of
arsenic.
things.
We had to have a system installed. So
Yeah.
we have great water, but we had arsenic in it. Hello.
Yeah. So that's these granite bodies, these
Yeah.
complex
Yeah.
granite bodies that are in Maine. magically, like
None of that's in this.
None
it's
of
just
it is in
crazy
it.
to
It's
me.
just
It's a blessing, really.
yeah.
It's,
I
it's
think
a
these
miracle.
crystal pockets that it's bubbling up through that are filled in the whole. It's just my. I'd like to think that maybe they're having some kind of an ionizing effect on it, or who knows. This is just all
Yeah.
hypothetical, but something is happening out there to create
Yeah.
a quality of water that is unmatched the world over.
So, all right, so we've got like a minute left. Tell
Okay.
me, where can people buy the water?
So we're all over the state of Maine.
Okay.
We're in stores everywhere, all over the state of Maine. People can email info@tourmalinespring.com.
Okay.
Tons of, like, most health food stores have it. Hannaford's have it. Lots of
Hannaford has it, okay. Great.
Yep, lots of mom and pop stores have it. For those who are listening that are outside of New England, you can go to my website, tourmalinespring.com,
Okay.
TOURMALINE, spring.com.
Okay.
You can go there, you can order it from us. Shipping is expensive, it just is what it is. They
Yeah.
weigh 30 pounds, but we have a lot of customers who order from us online.
Great.
But go.
So
our
it is
Facebook page.
available other locations in the U.S.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in the Mid-Atlantic. We're in, between Maine and Florida. We're in places, but
Awesome.
you go further out west, you have to order online.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it has been a very entertaining conversation
Yes.
with you, Seth.
Yes. And we didn't even sing. Imagine.
We didn't even sing.
Next time we're gonna sing.
All
We'll
right.
Make it more entertaining.
I promise. Yeah, I'll have your band come back. You've got a
Yes.
couple albums coming out. What's the
Yes.
band name?
In the wind.
In the Wind.
Yep.
And so you're in the studio now doing a couple albums.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, how about I have you come back and we'll just do something with your band.
Oh, that'd be great. We'd love to
Okay.
do that. Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And everybody visit tourmalinespring.com. And we'll be right back with my weekly words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
having me.
you. That was fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was great. As always. And a couple shout outs too for everybody listening. Lynda's show, can you say it again?
Yeah, Living Life Show, and it's on WLOB. So this is going to air on the second Sunday in February at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And so they can either go to 100.5 FM if they're in the greater Portland area, throughout the whole state on 1310 AM, and then also online at WLOBradio.com.
Okay, perfect. And make sure to like Lynda's Facebook page, which I've tagged in the description below.
Yep, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, like it, share this video. Another thing too, I want to shout out Golden Ratio Products.
Yes.
This is a great company. They're out of Maine. The people who are doing it, I think they import their glass from Europe, but it's just a really beautiful, they have certain geometries that keep the water really in a nice drinking state. I mean, it's something noticeable, and
Yeah.
I keep a lot of my water in it. And
Well,
it's-
you talked about the hexagonal shape or whatever it
Yes.
is, and how the water that is in the Golden Ratio products are better absorbed by your cells
Yeah.
in your body. So
Yeah.
when you have it in either plastic or it's coming right out of your faucet, it's been through a process where it's not easily absorbed.
It gets beat up.
It gets beat up.
destructured.
Exactly, exactly. Yep, and so by having it in this, just 3 minutes in this shaped bottle, and it restructures the water so that your body can easily absorb it.
It makes it, it's funny because I've tested it a lot. I don't know the science behind it to say it exactly, but
Yep.
you can notice a major difference between water that's just in a regular pitcher or in something else, and after it's been sitting in one of those for a while.
Mhm.
Like, I have a few of them in my house. I always put the water in it. It's very
Yeah, they have a
useful.
carafe you can put on your counter.
Yeah.
They even have chakra glasses with the
Yeah.
Golden Ratio symbol in the bottom. So
And they're
it's-
great people
yeah,
too.
really awesome people.
Halsey and Patty, beautiful people.
Yep,
Really cool.
Yep, based in Windham, Maine.
Yeah. And also too, I want to give a shout out to Martin Reese, who you mentioned.
Oh,
He's
right.
a world-class water sommelier. This guy is probably the world authority, just front and center, just pushing the word out there about how these natural boutique waters are so much better for you and for the environment than anything else that's out there. And he's, like the hashtag on Instagram, everything, water is not just water. I think they started that.
Oh,
And then there's also findwaters.com, which is a guy named Michael Masha. Great, findwaters.com. They're fantastic. But they all kind of work in cahoots together and help. And we all do. We all work and spread the word. But Martin Reese is fantastic, and so is Michael Masha. So check those guys out. Martin Reese, Water Sommelier. I'll tag him in here. Follow his Instagram and Facebook page. And I'll tag findwaters.com and Michael Masha's thing and everybody else we spoke of. because we want to create awareness about water. Water is more important than food. The highest quality organic food that people are eating is grown with water. A lot of it's grown with tap water that people don't even know what it's being treated with or the infrastructure that it's running through. Flint, Michigan was not a one-off. There's millions of lead pipes in this country now that water is going through. Some of the pipes, the infrastructure that is in the U.S., it was, sorry, not to take your whole show up here, but...
This is your show now.
Yeah, it's my show. It's
my show's done.
Yeah. But this is really interesting. A lot of people don't know this.
No, right.
The American Civil Liberty Engineer Union, whatever, I might have said their name wrong, but they graded the U.S. tap water infrastructure as a D. Wow. So a lot of, because, okay, tap water is one thing. The municipality treats it.
Yep.
Different municipalities treat it in different ways. But once it leaves the municipality, then it's going through miles and miles of piping.
Yep.
Some of it was installed when Lincoln was president.
I'm not surprised. Hey, believe me, I worked for the city of Westbrook for 30 years off and on.
Yeah.
And so I know that there isn't the money there to fix all and replace all these pipes, whether it's the sewer system, the water system, whatever it is. I mean, things are old.
Can you talk about that a little? Can you mention anything like for the water pipings? I don't want to get in trouble.
I can't.
Yeah. But
I'll just say that there just isn't funding.
There's no funding
I mean,
to do anything
there's
about
only
it.
so much money,
Yeah.
and you got to repair your roads, and it seems like the piping seems to be the last thing. Bridges and piping.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much money.
Yeah.
The infrastructure of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so who knows? And I'll tell you that Flint, Michigan was actually covered in the Netflix Rotten show that I watched. And really eye-opening. And I think the awareness piece of this is so huge. People just aren't thinking. They're just going about their daily life, and I talk about this show all the time, how people are busy, and I get it.
Yeah.
But it just only takes one small step. If we all just made one small change today, it can have a huge impact on the world. It's the same as if somebody's trying to raise money for a charity. If everyone donated $1, it's not a huge impact to you, but collectively, it can be a lot of money to make a difference, right? So it's no different when it comes to making a change in what your habits are.
Yes.
And it's just really raising awareness and making a better choice.
Thank you. Hallelujah. It's true, and a lot of people don't do that. And in regards to water, 70% of our body is made up of water.
Mm-hmm.
Over 80% of our brain is made up of water. 93% of our blood is made up of water. And our cells are made up of or surrounded by 99% water. Not food, water. So water is so important.
Yep.
I mean, it is so important for the electrical conductivity of our cells, for all the functions of our body. Be aware of water. Be mindful of water. And if you don't have access to good water, this is how, and I know this sounds out there, but a lot of mainstream scientists are starting to come out to validate it. It's really about attitude. It's really about feeling gratitude. It's about feeling love. It's about feeling wellness. And what this essentially translates into is coherence. When you're breathing and you're relaxed and you're not living out of the hormones of stress, then the systems of your body communicate with one another. This increases the strength of your energy field. This isn't new age woo. This is a fact. When you are in a coherent state and you feel good and you're grateful, you have elevated emotions regardless of how crazy the world can be, that impact is going to have a tremendous effect on the water in your body and on the interactions that you have with everybody around you. So,
amen.
Amen. Okay.
Love you, Sal.
Oh, love you too, Lynda. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
and
being
next
here.
time, you guys, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Share this video, and we'll see you guys soon.